what's up? You may know me as...
Sorceranian 40!
Okay, so this time I'm just gonna do a video where I talk about things. And today I'll just talk about stuff that used to scare me in my childhood. Most of them being TV shows and a few being movies. I'll save the video game stuff for another video. Just a warning, some of them are children's shows that stir up people. And some of them you just might not know what they are because they're Canadian. It's all because I'm Canadian. Anyway, let's get on with the video. And just a warning, some parts of this video might get a bit repetitive, but with the magic of video editing, this might get somewhat entertaining. I'm gonna start off with the easy stuff, like movies I've seen in my childhood. Like one example would have to be The Lion King. Wanna know what it is? Well, you finally get to know.
I beg your pardon, madam, but get off!
That only scared me once at age 2, or age 3. I don't know, I was really young back then. But a couple years later, it made me laugh how Zazu just said it, all muffled. I think it was just the that scared me in my early youth. And the second thing that kinda caught me off guard was also at the end of I Just Can't Wait to Be King. I don't know, it just caught me off guard, like right at the end, when you see an elephant land on a gazelle, that it trumpets in pain. The third being, this is like, I don't know why this caught me off guard, but Timon's face after realizing Simba and Nala were in love. You know, this was just close, but I think I nearly caught off guard the first time I fully saw The Lion King when Mufasa said this.
You deliberately disobeyed me.
How come it wasn't this that caught me off guard?
Is that a challenge?
But I get caught off guard to this.
You deliberately disobeyed me.
Apparently I was also scared of a certain part in Stuart Little. This.
Oh!
Whoa.
Snowbell!
Specifically Gina Davis.
Never, or out you'll go, Mr.
I
Snow.
don't know, was I scared of Gina Davis when I was really young? Is that one reason why I was nervous to watch Beetlejuice when I was younger? When it comes to Monsters, Inc., I think people were just scared of the roar that Sully did in that scene. But for me, it was the part where Boo screamed and all the lights went out. Specifically the parts when all the lights turned on. That just caused me to just look away the third time I watched it. You know, Aladdin is one of my most favorite Disney movies of all time. The 1992 movie. But in my really young days, I just didn't fully watch the movie. There was actually one part that actually caught me by surprise and, startled me. Somewhat of a jump scare. The part where Raja just pops up. I feel like they made it more adorable in the cartoon version, like cute as a house cat or something. I've no idea why, but this has disturbed me in my, when I was almost in my teen years. And when it comes to Madagascar, there's some parts that have disturbed me in my early teen years. Specifically the part where Alex gets tranquilized and he sees a bunch of hallucinations and stuff. Okay, maybe that wasn't all that bad for me, but I think the part where they showed Gloria once again in the credits, at the end, right at the end of the credits, except this time she's just sparkling red in a black screen. And for some reason I just found that disturbing on so many levels back then. Now moving on to what I call the Canadian stuff. These are just the TV shows I want to start out with. And if you're Canadian and born in the 90s, you might know a lot of this. First off, I'm just going to start with a show that was called, I saw this in my early childhood, it was called Ants in Your Pants. It's a show that plays children's music. And if you check the comments on any of those videos that have been featured on the show, a lot of the comments will just say, this scared me as a child, this disturbed me as a child. It would say all the same comments. Anyway, starting off, this one didn't scare me at all, actually. This one actually just irritated me, actually.
I want you to say, it's just not fair.
It's all because my dad just kept repeating the same damn thing that was part of the song, and even after the credits, and even after the show, it was like, he wasn't just saying it, but I just noticed he was saying it fast, and like, oh my god, that's annoying, come on. I just forced myself to not see it in many years, so... I think that clip was from Sharon Lois and Bram's Elephant Show. I think that's what it was from. The next one's a total jam, actually. Next one's actually a nice song to listen to. I got a little nervous to sing along to it just because of what I was seeing in the music video. They were showing clips of kids getting slimed on a game show by the Canadian TV channel YTV on a show called Uh-Oh. Specifically, it was the last two clips they were showing that caused me to look away later on, or look away throughout the entire music video. But now it just brings a nostalgic feel. Okay, this one was actually one of the most disturbing ones they've shown on Ants in Your Pants. Well, disturbing the way I see it, but the ones that actually most people consider to be like the most disturbing to show on it didn't even scare me or creep me out once. Anyway, this song, it's without the music video, it's just a sweet, cute song. Kind of creepy in a way, but still cute when the kids are singing. But the music video, disturbing, especially the last part. Okay, that even kind of disturbs me today. No, please don't show it again. Oh, no! I just told you not to show it again!
Let
me see a monster face.
If I see another load of laundry.
Some slimy creature coming up from below will grab your foot and never let go.
And now, on to the Canadian shows. I'm going to start off with a show I've seen many times throughout my childhood, and that would have to be the show Little Bear. Well, they did show that on Nick Jr., but I'm still counting it anyway because the show was made in Canada. There was actually multiple episodes that have scared me as a child, or scared me growing up. Like, for example, the 2 episodes where the characters were, like, swallowed by a whale. I thought it was older, but no, this actually came, like, back in the early 2000s. Because I remember having a nightmare that had a similarity to this.
It's a whale!
Except when it said, "It's a whale," it got repeated a second time, and then it got the third time. All of a sudden, they just get swallowed right away, and then instead, it just looks like a deadly black hole. So it's like, "It's a whale!" A little like that. Another episode was from the episode Mother Bear's Robin, where it showed a young mother bear that was trying to find the little Robin's home. But at one part, they find an owl that has a worm in its mouth and just hisses at them.
Oh dear!
I vaguely remember seeing that the first time, but this scared me on so many levels the second time I seen it. The last one from Little Bear was actually from the episode Monster Pudding. That was actually one of the only episodes where I just turned off the TV and waited for the next episode. This episode actually didn't scare me the first few times I watched it in my early childhood, but a few years later, I just when the Papa Bear turns into a monster, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a little scary. And then he just goes back to sleep. Then a few seconds later, it just actually comes out of nowhere this time. Oh, okay. Back then I was like, oh no, oh my gosh. A few seconds later, okay, that only happened once. Let's hope it doesn't happen again. Oh god, oh my god. That's it, I'm turning off the TV. There's another Canadian series that I've seen in my early childhood that also showed on Nick Jr., Maggie and the Ferocious Beast. I'm not talking about the series, but I'm talking about the shorts that they had back in the late 90s. Or the early 2000s, or wherever it was. They didn't scare me when I was really young, but a few years later, I ended up rewatching like 2 of them, and they caused me to look away the second time they were on. One of them was from an episode called
Move to the Music.
And it's just the beginning of how the cow is drawn. It was actually very off-putting compared to how they drew it in the full series. But perhaps the one that scared me the most was this one.
The big, and I mean big, sneak.
I don't know, I just couldn't look at what was going on throughout the entire thing. Just the sneezing on how everything was animated just freaked me out. The next one is the Canadian children's show and Barney's fairy tale cousin, Dudley the Dragon. I don't know how many episodes I should go through on this one, but there's many of them I actually gone through. I'm gonna start with one of them that actually just startled me at the end of the episode. It was the Halloween episode, and I don't know how this didn't scare me at all until the end. Just when they screamed and she makes a freeze frame out of it, it really got me there. The next one was only for one part, and the fact that one of the kids was panicking after seeing a snake. It wasn't a real snake. It was a puppet. It was a snake puppet. But still, it wasn't a snake. It was a kid that freaked out after seeing the snake. It just made me nearly freak out. I just covered my ears during that part. Another one is the Berenstain Bears cartoon from the early 2000s. I put that on the Canadian list because that series was made in Canada. One of them that scared me was on an episode where they're just on a roller coaster. I just didn't like how they animated Papa on the first drop. Not the first couple times, but the next few times it obviously made me look away. Another episode is when brother and sister visit the dentist. This lasts for like 1 second, but at one part where brother holds his cavity after Papa says the word drill. And the other episode that has also disturbed me was the episode The Sitter. And then there's one part where Mama's dragging Papa at one point, and all of a sudden, whoa, why is his mouth so big right there? I know it's a cartoon, but still. And this one here it's not a TV show, but it's actually a PSA they showed on TV back in the early 2000s, and I just wanted to cover my ears. It's actually a sad commercial, though. The commercial shows the dangers of drinking and driving, and this was the only one I've seen in the past that actually kept me scarred for one full day. Also, to end all the Canadian stuff, this logo has gave me nightmares for a lifetime.
No problem.
This logo has caused me so many nightmares in my early childhood, it caused me to not watch the shows that use that logo. That was YTV back in the early 90s. But even if they changed it back in the mid-90s, it didn't help all that much, because it still sort of creeped me out, but it didn't scare me, but creeped me out. It's basically the same TV, but CGI'd. And there's actually a few versions where you actually hear the scream and the lady saying no problem.
No problem.
It's random for most people, but for me, it was a nightmare. The first time I actually seen that logo, it was from Lamb Chop's Play Along. And whenever I heard anything related to that show, I would have just covered my ears and pretend that didn't happen or something. But the other things I've seen that logo on was another show called Big Comfy Couch. I bet a lot of you remember that show. But the only other thing I've seen it in was a Christmas cartoon special, which was back in the early 90s, and it was called Christopher the Christmas Tree. I ended up refusing to watch that show years later, all because of that logo.
No problem.
Also, is that just me, or does that scream kind of sound like a Koopa from Mario?
No problem.
We'll keep that in. And now for the more disturbing stuff. By that I mean the shows directed to young children that are severely hated. Excluding Sesame Street, because I don't know why that's even hated in the first place. Maybe because of Elmo? I mean, most people grow out of Sesame Street, but how can you not like Elmo? Anyway, if you don't want to see me talk about this or see any footage from those shows, pause the video and go to this timestamp. I'm giving you a few seconds, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, on to the next thing that scared me. A show about a colorful dinosaur that comes to life that looks like it's been on drugs. Barney. There's only 2 episodes that I know of that scared me in my early childhood. I really did not like the number episode when I was younger. Pretty much the parts where the wind blow. The next one didn't really scare me all that much, but an episode where Barney blows a tuba, their faces are priceless during this part. But for me, unfortunately, I just looked away for safety. I have no idea, that was just me back then. The next show was actually more disturbing than Barney. I think it also showed on PBS Kids back then. But this show is called JJ the Jet Plane. A show with CGI'd airplanes with CGI'd human faces on them. Not gonna lie, but the pilot was creepier actually. But back then, I never got to see the pilot. But the one part that actually scared me was in one episode called I Love Your Funny Face. And I think this one is probably the most popular episode on the internet. All because JJ is stuck with this face throughout most of the episode. That's actually been the only episode, but I think I did have a nightmare of... Nah, I didn't. But it was just a weird dream of JJ getting chased by a chocolate monster or something in the air. It was a strange dream, I tell you. Okay, I wanted to save this for last, but because of how well known this show was, I just had to put this one next. And here we go, I'm gonna say this on camera, Teletubbies. A show for toddlers just made 0 sense. But this other show called Boo was worse. But I decided to put Teletubbies on this list only because I've seen this show and this is what freaked me out when I was younger. There's one episode that involves a party noisemaker and they try to figure out how to make the sound and they blow into it to make a noise. The one part that scared me was the music before the sound plays. The next one being Christmas crackers. This didn't scare me the first time, but the second time I seen it, I just felt sick after seeing it. As soon as they pull hard enough, it explodes with pink sparkles. An explosion with pink sparkles is okay, but seeing whatever happened at that time just made me not want to watch the show again. Okay, the next one is a show you definitely never heard of. Unless you grew up with PBS Kids in the early 2000s, then you might know this. And it's called The Dudley and Pals Show. Just like Barney, it's aimed at very young viewers, but for some reason, the part that actually scared me did not involve any of the characters in costumes or using puppetry. It's just the motion effect they used on the camera when it started raining in this clip. I just get scared at the most odd times possible. Now that those shows are out of the way, I can finally deal with everything I can think of that has scared me in my early childhood. I'm gonna start off with a music video. Hopefully I won't get demonetized after showing a minor bit of it. But Michael Jackson's Thriller. It wasn't the zombie dance or the last part, but it's obviously the part where Michael Jackson turns into a werewolf or werecat or whatever it is. The next one's a British director video from the late 90s and it's an animation of the story of the Ugly Duckling. And once again, sorry, music scares me. But not gonna lie, this is the best song in the movie.
Bow to the winds of winter.
This is strange, but it's how the animation looked for the Rugrats episode, Rugrats Vacation, at one point when Dee Dee did the Tarzan yell. This sort sort of scared me, but it scared my siblings more. I mean, I was born in the wrong generation. I ended up watching the early 2000s All That. Sorry, I was born in the wrong generation. Well, the good thing is I had multiple chances to see the original All That, because the original All That still aired on the channel I had. This didn't really scare me, but pretty much it scared me before it would happen. And this usually happened in season 8, 9, and 10, but not season 7. In the Slumber Party sketch when Claudia does this voice.
You saw nothing.
You know, it actually took me forever to realize that was Lisa Foyles, though. First time I noticed it happen, I was like,
You saw nothing.
oh, okay. But the second time,
You saw nothing.
that was my exact reaction. I was scared and laughing because it was funny. Let's go to a classic cartoon. You like Looney Tunes? There's one that caused me to look away as soon as I grew up. In long-haired hair, mainly because the opera singer's face turns different colors. But for one other reason is when his head shrunk. Oh, look at that, we're back on young children's shows again. One show I briefly seen in my early childhood was Little People. I'm talking about the VHS and DVD releases back in the 2000s that they used to show on TV. There's actually two different ones that scare me, but I can only find one. And man, what was with me back then scared of music?
My music!
I get that out-of-tune music is unsettling to hear, but back then for me, it frightened me. Want to hear more music that scared me?
Tarantula.
They'll continue singing it forever just because this is the song that doesn't end.
Well, I'm gonna save one for last. If you remember the show VeggieTales, as soon as I grew up, I just didn't like how certain characters looked with derpy eyes. And speaking of derpy eyes, Elmo's face.
Are you done, Hippo? Good. He's done.
But also speaking of Elmo, I just hated seeing and hearing Elmo as a pufferfish. Back then when I grew out of Sesame Street, I couldn't get over Elmo as a pufferfish. Elmo and a pufferfish don't mix well. One more thing about Elmo, there's a few Sesame Street games I had for the PC, and this one caught me off guard for the first time. For Elmo in Wonderland, or whatever it was called, hearing Elmo spin like a top in the first page caught me off guard the first time. The other thing was the Hall of Mirrors. But the last little mirror was actually kind of cute, though. It actually made me laugh when I was younger.
Wow! You're the biggest Elmo that's ever looked in this looking glass!
The other one was around a bunch of books. There's one part where I couldn't catch this when I was younger, but apparently right there you can see that Elmo's scaring a bunch of little wild animals. Because I didn't know what was happening back then. That was just random. I couldn't see Elmo with the flashlight back then. It don't scare me the first few times, but later on that just made me laugh when that happened. Oh, wait a second. There's still one more from Sesame Street. I don't know why, but the opening to Global Grover seemed to give me a scare. Because at this part, it just looked like his arms and legs were just extending. I know they did that for one of their end credits years later, but this was like back in the early 2000s when I was still like really young. Here's one of the last things I gotta show you that scared me as a child.
Oh dear.
Now that we're off the Sesame Street stuff, here's something else that scared me.
It's all how you look at it.
Didn't scare me the first time, but then I didn't see it for 2 whole years. I remember seeing it back in the late 90s, but then 2 years later, they just took a break from it, and then after that 2 years, they showed it again. And I was like, hey, it's this again. But then after seeing it, I was like, okay, I don't want to see that again. In this clip, it shows a video of a sprinkler that starts off like a helicopter and starts flying like one. The only thing that scared me about it was that there was a lot of water in the background, and once again, the motion blur. Music and motion blur, the two ends of my childhood nightmares. And I have one last one to share. In one episode of Dragon Tales where they try to sing a lullaby to the Giant of Nod, I actually really liked the show when I was younger, but this part I just couldn't handle. When Weezy starts to sing the lullaby, she sings it off-key and loud.
Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop.
Well, actually, for me, it's when the large note appears. I didn't feel so good after seeing that. Okay, that's a video of stuff that used to scare me in my childhood. Mostly TV shows. If you somehow enjoyed this video, give this video a like. And if you want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Alright, I'll see you on the next video. Be seeing ya!
Sorceranian 40.